Hey, much love to ExpressVPN for once again sponsoring today's video. Let's get you up to speed in case you weren't aware. In a day and age where almost everything you do is on the internet, whether you game with a bunch of friends or randoms or handle your business accounts and what have you, it's crucial to keep your privacy intact because there is plenty of potential risks out there. Like your ISP provider can see what you're doing and sell your data to advertising companies, or hackers on public Wi-Fi can steal your personal info and open up bank accounts using your name. Family's got a bit of history with that scenario and it wasn't a fun time for them. ExpressVPN ensures your safety, and it's really easy to use. I'll show you. Just open the app like so, click connect, and now you're protected, just like that. For less than $7 a month with a 30-day money-back guaranteed, ExpressVPN is the market-leading choice for VPN security. You get the fastest speeds compared to other VPN providers, server locations in over 94 countries, giving you plenty to choose from, and support for just about every device. I'm talking Windows, Mac, Android, iOS, Linux, your router. I'm sure it's only a matter of time before we can retrofit a Dreamcast with it. I think 56K modems are still relevant. Now, I personally spend a lot of time online doing work, playing games, watching movies, and did you know with ExpressVPN you can unblock services like Netflix to watch movies not available in your region? It sucks and kind of weird that countries do stuff like that, but at least we got a means around that now. ExpressVPN helps keep my connection stable, masks my IP address to prevent security attacks, and encrypts my data to keep everything nice and safe from predatory websites. Take back your internet privacy today and find out how you can get 3 months free by clicking the link in the description below, expressvpn.com/Somecallmejohnny. Take back your privacy today with ExpressVPN. Hey there, welcome back. I'm back. I didn't mean to make you guys wait this long for this video, but if I can get real with you for a second here, the last couple of weeks, especially like close to 2 weeks from today, I've had what has to be the absolute worst head pain I've ever experienced in this line of work or otherwise, and I couldn't tell you where it came from. I don't know if it was tension, stress, if it was a straight up migraine, whatever it was, it debilitated me. I was completely unproductive. I couldn't work on anything bearing a few live streams, but even those that like went to those live streams knew that I was like sort of complaining about that sort of thing. I got this head pain, I don't know what it is, but it hurts to laugh. Like, and it hurts to like do certain emotions, and it was a miserable time, and the fact that I couldn't work on anything just made it worse because it was stressing me out, it was making me depressed. I've gone to the doctors at this point. Everything should be taken care of. I've taken proper meds. So shall we continue on with the show? I mean, it's a good reason to come back. We're now going to take a look at one of my most anticipated games of 2019, Bloodstained: Ritual of the Night. I've already explained why I've been so excited for this game during my Bloodstained Curse of the Moon video, which you can catch on the card up top. Curse of the Moon was a delicious appetizer, but this was the main course. A gothic Metroidvania from the same mind who brought us not only Castlevania Symphony of the Night, but the Sorrow Duology, Portrait of Ruin, Order of Ecclesia, top tier Castlevania titles ranking as some of my favorites in the series. Koji Igarashi, once a former employee of Konami, went and created one of the most successful Kickstarter campaigns for a video game, all in an effort to show that despite what corporations might think, there's still very much a market for these games. People still yearn for these kind of titles. I certainly do. I've been wanting to play this for the last couple of months, but I really wanted to finish my Pokemon commitments. I wanted this game to have my full, undivided attention, and perhaps it grabbed too much of my attention. Normally when I'm recording a game for a review, I make it a thing to take notes down between recording sessions, but I got so caught up in this game that I often forgot to do so. I just wanted to play more of the game, like I wasn't getting ready to review it, but because I was having so much fun and enjoyment. Yeah, totally jumping the gun here in case there was any doubt. Ritual of the Night is exactly the kind of game I expected and wanted it to be. Throughout my 11+ hour adventure, filling up the map, slashing through endless hordes of the undead, getting stronger while doing so, finding new means to explore the castle, I just had this stupid grin on my face. Ritual of the Night is a lovely return to a style I've been sorely missing since Order of Ecclesia's release back in 2008. And I know there have been plenty of perfectly great Metroidvanias released between then and now. I even covered a few of them in this channel, but Castlevania, I don't know, it just has this look, style, and feel, you know? It's hard to replicate, but if there's one dude I know who can come damn close, it's this man, and Ritual of the Night is one of the best Castlevanias I played that isn't Castlevania. Before I begin though, it should be said that you don't need to play Curse of the Moon, the 8-bit game, to understand Ritual of the Night. The two are in their own continuity, separate from one another, so don't feel bad if you didn't play Curse of the Moon, even though I think you should play it anyway because I think that game is fantastic. Another thing to note is that I'm playing the PC release for this review. Even though I have a PS4 copy that, as a backer of the game, I'm more than happy to add to my shelf, the PS4 version left me a little uneasy. Even on the PS4 Pro, the game would occasionally have these little micro freezes whenever enemies drop loot, or whenever I obtained a new power-up. That became a little distracting, but not as distracting as the game straight up crashing during times when I checked bookshelves for hidden techniques. It didn't happen all the time, but it happened enough to give me a bit of anxiety whenever I saw a new bookshelf. I had to hope there was a save room nearby so that I wouldn't lose too much progress. The PC version, I should stress as of this video, gave me little to no hiccups at all, so if you're looking to invest in one particular version, I do recommend that one. I know this is something the development team is still ironing out across the board. I hear the Switch version has its own share of problems on top of a reduced frame rate. And I know PC builds vary from person to person, but from personal experience, PC is the way to go. You should probably check out one of those like those tech comparison videos so you can make your own judgment call and err on the side of caution. But let's begin. In the 18th century, the Industrial Revolution is slowly changing the course of mankind's development, but this doesn't bode well with the Alchemy Guild, who rather have things stay the way they are for the sake of keeping their pockets full. By fusing humans with magic crystals, who are then identified as shardbinders, this allows the guild to use them as conduits to summon demons from hell, all to scare humans and halting their non-magical progress. Unfortunately, summoning demons never ends the way you'd expect, and all hell breaks loose for everyone, including the guild. Lots of people die, and the church banishes the guild for their practices. The only two survivors of this are Miriam and Gebel. Gebel, that's how you pronounce his name, alright. They're both good friends to one another. Miriam somehow fell into a deep slumber before being sacrificed to the demons, and Gebel somehow miraculously survived his sacrifice to live another day. 10 years pass and Miriam awakens from her long sleep. She's saddened to learn that Gebel has begun summoning demons himself to enact revenge in the Alchemy Guild for their previous actions, but seeing as demons are nothing but bad news altogether, Miriam joins forces with Johannes, a student of alchemy, and Dominique, who works for the church. Together they decide to raid the demonic castle that Gebel has summoned to act as his fortress. Castlevania in all but name really, but I think it's called the Hellhold? That'll take some time to grow on me. It kinda reminds me of the Hell House from Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest. Along the way, Miriam will encounter Zangetsu, a swordsman that has a huge hate boner for demons and shardbinders, but nevertheless has his own reasons for infiltrating the castle. He's also voiced by David Hayter, who decides to just do his snake voice from Metal Gear with a weird dialect at times.
You can hold me to my word, Dominique, but don't presume to tell me what else I can or cannot do.
There's also Alfred, an alchemist that's looking for the Liber Logaeth, an ancient book that can be used to summon demons. He's rather antagonistic to Miriam and threatens to harm her if she gets in the way, but Johannes, who was once a student of Alfred, fears that the old man's agenda might get him killed, so Miriam takes it upon herself to stop Alfred when she can. This being a Metroidvania produced by Koji Igarashi, there's more to the story than meets the eye. You'll have to fully explore the castle if you want the full details, and I'll say now, just because you reached your destination, doesn't mean you've reached the end. I'm actually going to give the game a little crap for this though. Compared to other Castlevanias, getting the complete ending felt a little disjointed, though I guess this has always been a weak point with Igarashi Castlevanias when I think about it. I could see point A and point B, but connecting the dots with the gameplay felt odd. If you played Symphony of the Night, you might know what I'm talking about. You know, when it came to unlocking the inverted castle, you had to do these seemingly unrelated things. It's kind of the same thing here, but with obviously different scenarios. I don't want to spoil too much here, since a part of the satisfaction in completing Ritual of the Night is figuring these things out yourself, but I think it definitely could have been more graceful. Anywho, I say Miriam joins forces with Johannes and Dominique, but it's Miriam that does all the heavy lifting. Johannes and Dominique act as glorified merchants. Dominique can sell you items you might need for your adventure, healing items, crafting materials, standard armors, etc, and she can also buy things off of you for a quick buck. Johannes can help craft you new items from materials you collect from enemies and treasure chests, and he can also strengthen the shards you receive from killing enemies. By giving him certain ingredients, he can also help you make meals that not only act as healing items, but also give you a permanent stat boost upon first time consumption. Maybe I'm missing something here, but I ended up not making a whole bunch of meals unless it was for this old lady and her side quest that required specific recipes. It takes a bit of time to get necessary ingredients. For some, you gotta talk to this dude to plant seeds for certain items, then come back later when they're all grown. Some require that you grind certain enemies, and some require that you combine other items before you can make the final result. I mean, the extra heals were nice, but this game still gives you the traditional potions that do the same thing on a more consistent scale, since different meals can heal for different amounts, both big and small. The permanent stat buffs were a decent perk, and who knows, this probably has more significance on higher difficulties, but in this kind of game, there are more than enough ways to give Miriam the tools she needs to slay some demons. Ritual of the Night is like Symphony of the Night, the Sorrow games, and Order of Ecclesia rolled into one package. Miriam can do so much in this game given enough time. As early as the first area, the game gives you several different weapon styles to experiment with, from short-range knives, kung fu kicks, short swords, large swinging claymores, the traditional whips, spears, clubs. There's so much weapon variation here. It's likely you'll find a particular niche in a matter of time, and by checking out these bookshelves placed all throughout the castle, there's even hidden techniques you can learn to get the most out of your weapon with enough practice. I tried my hand in all weapon styles, and there was some I got a surprising amount of use from. But when I get down to it, nothing beats the classic short sword. Just enough range, good attack power, and doesn't leave me too open to retaliation. Although with enough exploration and alchemy, you can end up crafting some incredibly powerful weapons, some of which you may recognize from previous games. I cannot believe they brought this sword back. Physical attacks are just a part of the deal. There's a surplus of magic attacks and abilities you can score in the form of shards. Much like Aria of Sorrow and Dawn of Sorrow, when you kill a demon, there's a chance they might drop their shard, their essence, much to Miriam's discharging. Despite how painful it looks though, and depending on the type of shard, they can grant Miriam something like a new magical attack like powerful projectiles, a passive ability like being able to grab certain objects or move really fast, or it could be something that augments your weapons or stats. Some let you create shortcuts to specific armor sets and weapons for changing attacks on the fly. I ended up getting plenty of use out of that one. And some even let you summon familiars that can assist you in battle or help you find hidden passageways and secrets within the castle walls. By collecting more of the same kind, you can increase their grade, making them more potent, and you can also take them to Johannes to increase their rank and give them more widespread effects. That does feel a little redundant though, not gonna lie. Giving shards both a rank and grade that kind of accomplish the same thing, in a future game I can easily see this being consolidated into one stat. Much like your physical weapons, there's enough shards in this game to fit both offensive and defensive playstyles. I'm always one to lean on projectiles for long distance play, so shards like True Arrow gave me a lot of use, even if I'm not the biggest fan of using directional shards. Now red shards, that's not a problem at all, you just press a button and watch it go off. But directional shards require that you aim with the right analog stick first, and then press the shoulder button to set it off. The precision you can get with them are great, and I love that about them, but I don't know, they don't feel as graceful as red shards. Until I got something like, Teps Osius, the lightning strike that automatically tracks down enemies, and no lie became my go-to shard until endgame. Don't really need to stop and aim when the game does that for me. I just wish Miriam didn't have the compulsion to scream out the attack almost every time she used it. You can lower the volume of voice clips to mitigate this, but that also mutes the cutscenes. I'd rather the character just not shout the attack every single time, or for weapon swings for that matter. That did get a bit annoying. Given the large variety of options for Miriam, not to mention the possibility of making some outrageously powerful weapons and armor with enough dedication and patience, Miriam is more than capable of taking care of demons. I played the game on normal difficulty, and with exception to some environmental hazards and some optional post-game encounters, I didn't really struggle throughout. Most enemies had predictable patterns that could be easily exploited. I found it to only be a real problem when they placed those annoying smaller enemies in confined areas. You can get dogpiled if you're not careful, and there are a few larger enemies that hit like trucks, but even they can be avoided by simply jumping over them repeatedly. Boss fights obviously put up more of a challenge, but with enough preparation, even these didn't put up that much resistance. If you played Curse of the Moon, you're bound to recognize a couple of these guys, though don't expect the exact same fights. They've been tuned to match this game's mechanics and style. I have to say, even though I kinda knew what to expect with this game already, I was still sort of surprised how much I was reminded of Symphony of the Night specifically. This game's castle design takes a lot of cues from that game, to the point of being borderline derivative. I get to the next area, see familiar set pieces, and in my head I'm like, I bet I can find this if I looked here, or I'm almost certain there's something hidden here, and more often than not, I was spot on. Now, if you have even a basic sense of exploration, you can find most if not all these secrets yourself easily in no time. The game isn't that heavy on complicated designs or puzzle solving for that matter. You're at a huge advantage if you played any of Igarashi's Castlevanias because, well, the man had a winning formula, so why fix what wasn't broken? And to some, this might be a problem, I'm aware of that. I know most people are heading into Bloodstained, both this game and Curse of the Moon, to get the Castlevania fix they've been wanting for over a decade. But if you were hoping for something a little more original, something with its own identity, that's not entirely the case here, even though I gotta say I love Miriam as a protagonist. When I saw her design, I initially thought, she reminds me a little too much of Shinoa from Order of Ecclesia, but that's where the similarities end. She carries a large burden, but she has a much more welcoming personality. Yeah, I know Shinoa was the way she was for story reasons, and she's as much of a badass in her own way, but I like how snarky and goofy Miriam can be at times. I also love how you can customize her appearance when you unlock the barbershop, with the barber himself being one of my favorite characters in this game for his dialogue.
I'm not a cutthroat, I've never cut anyone! Well, I have, but it's these scissors! They've cursed me to become a demon.
Then why not cast them aside?
Cast them aside? If I could take them off, I wouldn't be cursed. Duh!
The voice acting is solid altogether. There wasn't anything that stuck out as awful, intentionally or otherwise. Character animation could be a little jank in cutscenes, but the game itself looks great. The 2.5D approach does a good job of making certain areas of the castle have greater presence because of dynamic angles. The cave systems below feel claustrophobic while the castle towers above feel large and imposing. And I'm always down for having Michiru Yamane return to compose the soundtrack, but I think I need more time to let this one sink in. I enjoyed some pieces, but nothing immediately clicked like Curse of the Moon soundtrack did for me. Fans of Castlevania will no doubt enjoy all the winks and nods to the franchise this game emulates, which I know you can call the whole game that, but certain little details specifically will be sure to get the neck hairs all tingly, or leave you horribly depressed when you realize that Konami doesn't really seem to care about the Castlevania franchise anymore, bearing the Netflix show, which is good. I feel I should point that out. But hey, if you're feeling any animosity towards Konami because of their neglect, don't worry, there are some not so subtle views directed towards the company that just might put a smile on your face. I got a laugh out of them for sure, but there's plenty of other things in the game that gave me joy for more wholesome reasons. I know folks were excited to see David Hare give a badass performance as Zangetsu, but I was personally more giddy to see Robert Belgrave back as the castle's librarian, and yeah, he's exactly who you think he is, but man, I don't care. It's great to see him in this kind of role again. Complete enough of the map, and it gets even better. Bloodstained Ritual of the Night is Castlevania Symphony of the Night with some modern touch-ups, but I can't stress enough that isn't entirely a bad thing. I know I'm speaking as a biased Castlevania fan, but at the end of the day, this is still a Koji Igarashi developed Metroidvania, and that not only comes with tight game design, fantastic control, and a wonderful gothic aesthetic, but there's so much attention to detail and over-the-top cheese that left me smiling throughout. This is a game where you can, fight demonic wraiths that can sap away your very life force, fight to the death with hellish abominations, but still has toy shoes as an equipable weapon that even squeaks when you run. Obviously, as a Castlevania fan, I can't recommend this game enough, but if you're just looking for a great Metroidvania, I mean, here you go. A game well worth its price tag with the content it already offers, and it's getting more DLC along the way. As of now, you also get Boss Rush mode, which is exactly what it sounds like, and a speedrun mode, which gives a timer for the more dedicated player. But recently, players were given Iga's backpack, which comes with a new weapon, and a boss fight against the main man himself. It is ridiculous, but exactly the kind of cheese I expect from these kind of games. The game is also slated to get more playable characters and extra modes, so this is a prime candidate for a round 2 video easily. As of now, it's still a great purchase, well worth the wait. Very happy to say that. I just wish it were a little more stable on consoles, and I'm hoping that changes in time. Some measures have already been taken to address it, but it's still not perfect. I know plenty of people who played this on PS4, Xbox One, and Switch just fine, so who knows, maybe I just got really unlucky. But there's still blemishes that need to be worked out, so play it on PC if you can. Felt good to finally get my hands on this one, and before I sign off for tonight, I did want to ask you guys something. Now, whenever I eventually head back into the Castlevania series, it could be later rather than sooner if I'm being honest, I wanted to have you guys vote on, like, where do I jump back in? Do I jump back in with the 3D titles, of which there's a number of them, or should I go into the handheld entries first, starting with like the Game Boy games all the way up to like the DS lineup? I'm gonna leave a poll in a card up top here somewhere around here. I'm kind of disoriented now with the video screen, but I'll leave it up to you guys to decide what I'll tackle next time I go into the Castlevania franchise for like a marathon. But in the meantime, there are a number of other games I want to look at before I head into my dual marathon thingamajig in the future. So I will see you guys next time with this fancy new remake that just came out for the Nintendo Switch. I'll be taking a look at The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening. I think it's just Link's Awakening DX remake Switch thing. I don't know. That's what I'm looking at next time. Thank you all for watching. Have yourselves a fantastic night, and take care.
You have the worst curse ever.
Yes, quite literally, yes. Please, can you help me find information about hairstyles? I'll cut you for free.
That is not an enticing offer.
No, not cut you. Cut it. Wait, what are you even worried about? You look like you could rip me into 100 pieces.
I really could.